So in the spirit of the evening, I've got a confession to make. I'm a Hebrew school dropout. There were a lot of factors, but there was one moment when I was in 5th grade that drove me away. We were studying early theories of Zionism. We learned that one major strand, political, physical Zionism, called for the immediate establishment of a Jewish state. In contrast, cultural, spiritual Zionists wanted to revitalize the Jewish people with an artistic, a cultural renaissance, and then later talk about statehood. So we were given a simple exercise. We were to imagine that we were delegates at the first Zionist Congress, and one side of the room was designated for those who stood with political Zionism, and the other side of the room was designated for cultural Zionism. And we were asked to stand on the side that best represented how we would have voted at the conference. I had thought about this a lot, and I went over to the cultural side. And I was surprised to see I was alone. Everyone else had gone to the other side of the room. And the teacher came up to me, "Joshua, didn't you do the reading? Don't you understand the lesson? The Jewish people need a home." I remember hammering that home. I tried to explain I understood it, but this was just what I felt. I felt that cultural Zionism, had I been at the first Zionist Congress, would have been where I would have stood. And the teacher was livid. She said that I had a horrible attitude, that I was rebellious, and that I was to sit outside in the corridor until the lesson was concluded. I complied. And when I went home, I said to my parents that I was never going back to that school. And I never did. Yeah. The pedagogy left something to be desired in that moment, I grant you. You know, that was really the first time that I can think of where I truly felt lonely in a Jewish setting. You know, where I felt that my opinions, that my beliefs were ignored, where they weren't even heard. And I've been very fortunate. There have been very few times in life where I felt that similar sense of being on the outside, of being unwelcome because of my convictions or my beliefs, just because of who I am. And yet, since October 7, I felt pretty lonely at times. Sometimes that's come from my interactions with my friends and colleagues beyond the Jewish community. My sense of interconnection with other Jews who I've never even met isn't always easy to explain. And it can be hard to describe how my deep affiliation with Jews worldwide made the situation in Israel and Gaza painful for me. And yeah, there were also moments where I felt that the line between a legitimate critique of Israel and anti-Semitism had been crossed. But an even sharper sense of loneliness has come for me from being in Jewish circles. We've all been struggling in the aftermath of Hamas's savage attack. I often felt that there was room for only one opinion, and that depended often on whom I was with. In some Jewish gatherings, that could mean blanket support for all of Netanyahu's policy decisions. With other Jewish groups, this could mean the exact opposite. And at a time where I felt we needed each other the most, I felt the Jewish community growing further and further apart. And this hurt me, because I wanted us to be together. My teacher, Rabbi Sharon Cohen-Anisfeld, shared a teaching on this point at the Boston Common Gathering that was shortly after October 7 last year. And she said, "I know so many of us are feeling heartsick and unmoored. In the face of our sense of helplessness, it's all too easy for us to weaponize our words against each other. One word to the left, one word to the right can feel like a betrayal, an unbridgeable gulf. Please let us not turn our words against one another." And I say, Amen. Amen. Jewish communities thrive with respectful, caring disagreement. And this holds true far beyond opinions about Israel. This includes American electoral politics, God help us all, gun control, reproductive rights, ideas and opinions on innumerable topics. We are a people who enthusiastically, joyously disagree with one another. Our vitality depends upon it. The Talmud gives a great example of this in the story of two study partners, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Reish Lakish. After they have a falling out, Reish Lakish dies, and Rabbi Yochanan is desolate. The other rabbis send Rabbi Yochanan a new study partner, but it's not a match. All the new guy does is agree with him. And Rabbi Yochanan despairs. When I would give my opinion to Reish Lakish, he would tell me all the ways I was wrong. And I would have to refute each and every one of his arguments. And that strengthened our learning and broadened our traditions. Just agreeing with me doesn't help. And Rabbi Yochanan languishes, and he dies too. It's very melodramatic. It's a great story. The rabbis believed that it was incredibly important to have companions with whom we can disagree constructively. Quoting from Proverbs, this even became a rabbinic expression, iron sharpens iron. Just as it's possible to sharpen two knives by whetting them against each other, we're also honed when we're learning different perspectives. To put it another way, we can get dull if we always agree. Pun intended. Exposing ourselves to varying points of view is what keeps us sharp. Pun intended. This is a fundamental expression of the value of being part of a Jewish community. And it describes our responsibility to other members of our group as well. We depend upon one another to be made whole, and a holy community requires full participation by and acceptance of all of its members. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, whose name I never get tired of saying, wrote a book, A Letter in the Scroll, where he shares a mystical teaching to this point. The Jewish people are a living Torah scroll. And each member of the Jewish community is a letter in that supernal, heavenly book. And here's the thing. If so much as a single letter is missing from a Torah scroll, it's pasul. It's invalid. It can't be used ritually. And so if we are a scroll of Torah, if even a single member is excluded from the only way for us to partner authentically and compassionately together is when we share our opinions and absorb other people's perspectives also. And it's when we invite one another into conversation, especially when we don't see eye to eye together. That's how we make meaning as a Jewish community. And that is my vision for how this holy community will engage together in this new year. We begin this work together now on Kol Nidre. Earlier this evening, the cantor guided us in reciting the words of this ancient formula, and immediately before doing so, there was a preamble. It said, "Let none be excluded from this community of prayer." It's on page 16, you can check me. There's a footnote on the bottom of that page, and we learned that that preamble is based on a 13th century teaching. No true community excludes those who have stumbled and fallen. All of us are transgressors. All of us are transgressors. None of us is unworthy to join with others in prayer. Tonight, we are declaring that God is the one who is judging us, not people. We have neither the right nor that power in the presence of our Creator. And we've got to ensure that everyone in our community is invited to share their full, authentic selves without negative bias, without harsh judgment. So what does that look like? What is our actual work that we're about? Let's be good disagreeers. Dr. Jamil Zaki, who's a professor of psychology at Stanford, gives us this advice. This is from an article in the Washington Post. I have exhaustive footnotes here, so you can read it all online. Dr. Zaki writes, "Good disagreeers don't hide their own perspectives. They express genuine curiosity about others' views also, and point out common ground when they see it. They share personal stories. They ask about one another's experiences. And this type of exchange isn't just nice, it's powerful. In our work, we find that people who empathize during disagreement are better able to persuade others. If you want someone else to open their mind, a great place to start is opening yours first." That's part of what made the relationship between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish so special. Iron sharpens iron. And as we share and challenge one another, we refine our connections and enhance the quality of our experience together in our community. That mutual respect is the strongest base upon which to build. And when we study together in this new year, let's remember, we're not trying to change someone's mind. We're trying to deepen our connection together in the holy paths of Torah. I've been trying to put this into practice in my own life. I hesitate to ask Stephanie how I've been doing. I've been trying to take a breath before responding in difficult or intense or tense situations. I invite curiosity to come forward. Wow, this person really cares a lot about what they're saying, and their perspective is completely different from mine. I'd like to know more about it so that I can understand my own position better too. As I do this, I've found that it gets a little easier for me to find thoughtful, open, sometimes even caring language when the time comes to reply. The words of Kol Nidre guide us to turn towards one another here with genuine curiosity. And when we do so, we can share our own points of view with gentle conviction. This is a process. Let's be compassionate with ourselves as we're mindful of this challenge. Tomorrow morning, we'll have an opportunity to study together before the Torah service between 11:30 and noon. Quick plug. let's use that as an opportunity to try to put this into practice. See how that goes. 10 days ago, on Erev Rosh Hashanah, I said that one important reason that Jewish communities exist is for us to share our strength with one another. And this is the corollary. We can't share anything of substance with someone else until we're willing to accept the other just as they are, with respect for what we share, and with curiosity about our differences. Can we offer that blessing to our children and to our students? Can we offer that blessing to one another or to ourselves? If I had been in the kind of community that valued that kind of acceptance and openness to differing opinions when I was back in Hebrew school, I might have remained active in my synagogue. I might have formed deeper connections with my teacher and my peers. And who knows? I might even have gone on to become a rabbi myself. Happened anyway. In this new year, let's live up to the words that we've spoken tonight. We are living in very difficult times, and this community can be a source of profound blessing to us. Let's do all we can to keep Beth El welcoming, a source of support and inclusivity, and never lonely. As Rabbi Sharon Cohen-Annefeld blessed the Jewish community a year ago, in this time of still unfolding terror, may we turn towards one another with love. May we choose our words carefully and with compassion. May we resist the temptation to despair. Adonai oz li'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. May God grant us strength and peace.